think the best thing people can do to get ready for mission is actually talk to people who've been there before.
To write to missionaries overseas and get an understanding of their lifestyle, and that's a really important first step, is not just to rush overseas and try it, but to begin by praying and taking an interest in the world and the needs that God has placed there.
Do lots of research and find out who's doing what where.
I looked into different agencies to see which one suited the skills that I had, the gifts that I had, the interests I had in the world.
And especially if you're talking to missionaries, say, well, look, what was it like for you when you were a missionary? What are the sorts of things that are likely to be a challenge? Do you think I'm suited for this, especially if they know you well? Get them to pray with you.
Get into the real workforce, have whatever appropriate training.
As I looked for uni choices, that I chose a course because I thought that would be something that God could use in missions in the future.
Be well equipped in your secular field, but also have some kind of biblical training, however that is done.
If you want to get ready to do mission work, I think the best thing to do is to tell people about Jesus wherever you are. Tell them the stories that Jesus told.
And be engaged in your local church.
Speak to your pastor, speak to your elders, speak to the people in your church and say, is this what God wants? Because if you know that, then anything can come up and you'll be ready.
And that's a fantastic way of preparing your heart and for telling people all over the world about Jesus.
WEC, reaching people, planting churches.
We tried a few things, and I think over time we discovered what we were good at, what our gifts were and where our heart was. Give a lot of things a try, ask other people, what do you think I'm good at, and sometimes just go with your heart.
We looked at a whole lot of information on 3 different countries. We looked it up on the web, we talked to people who were missionaries there, and we said, what do you do? How would you see us being involved? It was a process of having said, this is what we think is right, this is what we feel is right. And once we got there, we tried it out and we said, yeah, this is right.
Yeah, going overseas and experiencing that firsthand is a great way to find out where your place is. It was through a short-term trip over to Asia that it first came to me that's where God was leading me to.
That short-term trips can be a useful part in starting in missions, and it can really, as it did for me, confirm to me that God had called me to that, and that was something that I could do in God's strength.
I was open to direction from other Christians who knew a little bit more about different places, and had contact with WEC missionaries, and somehow through all that process God helped me to know.
If you find what you're good at and what God's placed on your heart, serving God just becomes a joy, and God will be faithful in leading you.
WEC, reaching people, planting churches.